So I'm just watching this little thing on YouTube, and it's Paul Scholes and Rio Ferdinand talking about Paul Pogba, and it's from a few years ago, and it just got me thinking about Paul Pogba and that whole situation with him. And Paul Pogba has to be one of the most disappointing signings in Manchester United history. We've got an illustrious history of dominating central midfielders like Nobby Stiles, like Duncan Edwards, like Paul Ince, although he did the trios and become a scouser, Brian Robson and Roy Keane. And Paul Pogba was bought with the hopes that he would be the next in line to dominate the Manchester United central midfield position. And we paid a world record fee, and there's one thing you can't criticise the Glazers for, and that is spending money. And they bought him, and well, it didn't really work out. But here's what Paul and Rio had to say.
More than others.
Yeah, so Paul Pogba, I mean, he was an absolute sick note. He wasn't a phenomenally talented player, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him. And Paul Scholes is right there. You know, he needed players around him to sort of be in his ear and keep his head on the ground and his feet on the ground and his head in the game, because he would drop in and out of games and he was always injured, and you know he always seemed to play for himself, and it's a shame really, because he could have been the best player in the world. He had Ballon d'Or potential. But I mean, is it a case of too much too soon? I don't know, because Cristiano Ronaldo had won the Champions League and was the best player in the world by the time he was 21. Same with Lionel Messi, and they got their heads down and carried on. And I don't know what it was with Paul Pogba. Maybe if he'd stayed at Juventus, or maybe if he'd went to Real Madrid and he was surrounded by Luka Modric and Toni Kroos and experienced heads, maybe if he'd went there, he would have become the best midfielder in the world. But unfortunately, at Manchester United, he didn't really have that, although he was quite good in his first season and a half, because we had Zlatan there, we still had Rooney, and I think Carrick was still knocking around, so there was some experienced players there who could keep him in line. But he was one of those players, Paul Scholes is absolutely right for a change, that he was one of those players that needed all the heads to just keep him in check every now and then. But, well, he's gone away and he's suspended, and he's going to be coming back. Hopefully he stays away from Old Trafford, because I don't think he'll get a good reception if he comes back to Manchester United. But, yeah, I think he's probably the most disappointing signing we've ever had, more so than Sanchez. Sanchez is probably the second most disappointing. But yeah, who do you guys think was the most disappointing signing in the history of Manchester United? I would go with Paul Pogba, with Alexis Sanchez a close second. But yeah, tell me in the comments.